Time to build up to match number 3 of the Cricket World Cup 2019. First game for New Zealand and Sri Lanka. To look ahead to that, we've got Dan Vettori and Tillakaratne Dilshan. The first game at Cardiff. And when Dan and Dilshan last played against each other in a World Cup game, I think it was Dan that got Dilshan out. So fond memories for at least one against the other. Dan, let's go straight to you on the potential New Zealand 11 as you try and pick the ideal team for Kane Williamson. Let's have a quick look and then get Dan Vettori's thoughts on what he thinks is the most balanced New Zealand team. Let's have a look at Dan's playing 11 for this first game against Sri Lanka. I'm looking at the players that might miss out. No room for Colin Munro, no room for Matt Henry, and you've gone for the likes of Lockie Ferguson and Tim Southee to partner Ish Sodhi and Trent Boult. That's the bowling team for you. Thoughts on that team, Dan, and why you've picked Lockie Ferguson ahead of Matt Henry?
Well, I think they've looked to use Lockie Ferguson a lot in the last sort of 6 to 8 months. They love his pace after the swing bowling of Southee and Boult up front, and they want to use him as a wicket taker. And I think they'll chop and change when they use him, but it is primarily to use to try and take wickets. And I think the balance of the team, the only change they may make is looking to bring Neesham in for one of the spinners, which they've tended to do over the back end of the home summer. But sort of hoping in England that they will be brave, I suppose, to pick the 2 spinners, to use Satner as an all-rounder and use Sodhi as an all-round option. And I think the only other point of conjecture is probably around that opening spot. And they've liked Nicholls. They've used him a little bit in the back part of the summer, and Munro obviously has been a player that they've tried, and his T20 form hasn't quite transferred into the one-day games. They really like Nicholls as a player, so I think they'll give him the opportunity first up, and then the balance around that middle order will be the only talking points, I think, going ahead.
All right, let's have a look at Sri Lanka's ideal playing 11, and we'll talk about New Zealand's batting a little more in depth in just a minute. But let's see Dilshan's ideal 11. This is going to be hard, Dilshan, because I'm still trying to figure what would be the ideal playing 11 for Dimuth Karunaratne. And you've put Karunaratne and Lahiru Thirimane as the opening pair. Would that be the batting order then, with Kusal Perera at 3, followed by Kusal Mendes, the experience of Angelo Matthews to follow, then Dhananjay De Silva, and bowling options start with Shiri Vardhana, Tissara Perera, Lakmal, Jeffrey Van der Sar gets a game, and the experience of Lasith Malinga. Take me through your team, Dilshan. Why have you gone for this team?
I think I want to cover all the department. The thing is, I planning to play 7 batsmen with Siriman a little bit all-rounder. He can bowl a little bit left-hand spin, and 3 genuine fast bowlers, and Lasith, Suranga Lakmal, and Tissara Perera with Van der Sar. And batting, we have to cover. Thing is, last 6 to 8 months we are not doing well batting for our team. That's why I try to give 7 batsmen. And I want to open Kusal Perera with Dimuth Karunaratne. The thing is, we need a hard-hitting batsman in the top, and Angelo and Thirimana bat middle order, and 2 experienced guys. I think this is the best 11. I think for tomorrow against New Zealand side. I'd like to open Kusal Perera with Dimuth Karunaratne.
Okay, that's interesting that you want to go for Kusal and Dimuth as openers. I'm assuming you'll stick with Kusal Mendes at 3, and therefore Thirimane bats 4, which is a position he has batted before in ODI cricket.
I think Thirimane should bat number 3, and Kusal, Dhananjay bat number 4, and Angelo's experienced player. We have Angelo bat number 5, and that's more balance in the middle order. Thirimane and Angelo is most experienced 2 batsmen in our lineup. These 2 can handle the middle overs. That good for our team. Then Death, Tissara, and Tissara Perera and Siri Vardhana, they can bat Death in the last few overs. I think that's why I planning the Kusal Perera open with Dimuth Karunaratne, and so keep strong in the middle order.
Very well. Now the middle order becomes important for both teams, and I'll take you on this, Dan, because we saw even in the first game, England needed their middle order to bail them out of situations, to rebuild after a couple of early wickets. Let's talk about Ross Taylor's importance to this team now, and in spite of getting now going past 35, may just be his last World Cup, he still seems to have it. The numbers for Ross Taylor still very good, second only to Virat Kohli, an average of nearly 82. Does he form the fulcrum around which New Zealand's batting revolves?
I think it's him and Williamson. I think the way that Williamson bats and the aggressive game plan he has, along with Guptill, I think allows Taylor to get in. And once Taylor's in, you see by those numbers that he's almost unstoppable. And I think over the years he's really understood his game. He's really known that those 10 to 20 balls are incredibly important to him. And if he uses them wisely, then he sets himself up for the rest of the innings. And we've seen how destructive he can be at the back of end of an innings. And I think he catches that strike rate up and he scores big. And I think over the last a year to 18 months, as those numbers suggest, he's cashed in more often than not in all conditions. And I think he'll be feeling incredibly comfortable about playing in England. I know he played for Middlesex and did really well on the build-up. So he will take that form, not only from the past New Zealand season, the past year, but the form that he's shown for Middlesex and take that into there. And there's a lot expected of him, I think, because he's played so many World Cups, because he's played so many games of cricket for New Zealand, and potentially his last World Cup, that he'll put some pressure on himself to do well. And when he does that, he generally does do well.
All right, big important player for New Zealand with the ball, Trent Boult. And does the New Zealand bowling sort of outmuscle Sri Lanka's bowling? Looking at Trent Boult's numbers, very good warm-up game as well, but he's got the most wickets in the first 10 overs in ODI since the last World Cup. I'm assuming he'd be hoping for favourable conditions in Cardiff as well.
Well, I think what we're seeing with Trent is the improvement. He's always been an exceptionally good bowler, but what I like is that he is not only looking to take wickets in that first 10 overs, but he's improved the back end, and he's become a go-to guy for Kane Williamson in those early stages. They look to use him 5 to 7 overs, but he's also been a reliable death bowler. And I think we've talked about in the past how important that death bowling is.
Okay. Right, now there is a huge reliability in Lasith Malinga as well, Dilshan, if we are to talk about his death bowling abilities. We also have a Malinga who likes bowling in England. Yes, he may not be the same bowler that he was 4 or 5 years ago, but we'll just have a look at Malinga's numbers in England, and that will give Sri Lanka fans a lot of hope. I wonder, if you were Malinga's captain at this point, how you would best use someone like Lasith Malinga. New Zealand have a strong top order. They have batting that bats till deep, and you've got a Lasith Malinga who we know what his skill sets and his strengths are at this stage of his career. How would you use Lasith Malinga?
I think definitely I'm using for the new ball, Lasith Malinga. Thing is, we have to take wicket as early as possible. Thing is, New Zealand batting lineup is very strong in top order, especially Dan mentioned is Williams. He's doing really well last year. He's in one of the top player in the world at the moment. It's batting. I think Lasith Malinga definitely I use as a new ball, and way as the match is going, might be I bring in the middle, and death overs definitely. I think it is one of the best death ball in the world. I am going to use him suit to the game, definitely in the new ball.
All right, and predictions from you, Dilshan? Optimistic about Sri Lanka, or will New Zealand be too tough?
I think it's both team is the New Zealand team is more experienced, but when you come to World Cup, we know the Sri Lankan teams are doing really well. I think it's after the last game against Australia, its batsmen got some confidence, got 230 plus runs. If you bat first tomorrow, if you bat first, put some runs in the board, we have a more experienced bowling attack. Their bowling side is really strong. We bat first, put some runs in the board, 270, 77 to 280 plus. I think is we are bowling attack. Our bowling attack is more strength. We can depend the New Zealand batting lineup.
All right, thanks for that, Dilshan. Dan, last word from you. Mixed fortunes in the warm-up games. What plays to New Zealand's strength? Would they have a preference? How important will the toss be on the eve of their first game?
I think Kane's tended to bowl in the past. I think that's something he feels comfortable with. Look, I think it's a game that New Zealand expect to win, and I think it'll set them up for the rest of the tournament because of how long the tournament is, but the importance of starting. I think they'll expect a lot from their big players, Williamson, Boult, Southey and Taylor, because you need those guys to step up in these early rounds, and you'll hopefully get something more from the less experienced players as we go on. So Williamson to look to bowl first to give them a total to chase, and hopefully Williamson, Guptill and Taylor can chase it down comfortably.
All right, many thanks, Daniel Vettori and Tillakaratne Dilshan. We will continue getting your thoughts as this World Cup campaign for both your respective teams kicks off in Cardiff in match number 3 of the Cricket World Cup on Saturday.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and leave your comments in the comment section below. Click on the bell icon for notifications.